What's up, y'all? Sorry about the delay. Hey. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope everyone is well. Come on in. Whoo, child. So listen, let's get into this conversation with Carlos and Drew as it relates to all the things that she has going on the Real Housewives. The Real Housewives. Well, congratulations, Catherine. Happy for you, baby. So Carlos King sat down with Drew Sidora. Now, you guys know that I feel how I feel about Carlos King, but I ain't going to take away the fact that Carlos King be getting some good interviews. I'm not always interested in the interviews, but this one, I said, I need to hear some things. And if I'm being honest, Drew, I'm going to give you credit because I feel like Drew gave us a lot. She stayed away from a lot of the specifics of the divorce, which was smart. Thank you, Ronnie, for becoming a member. I appreciate it. Thank you, my love. So I give her credit for that. I feel like that was probably a smart thing to do. However, she gave us some good information about some of the other stuff. So let's go ahead and get into it. So Carlos was interviewing Drew. Now, I want to say this. I'm going to tell y'all what I know, not what I heard. Now, I need y'all to hear what I'm getting ready to tell y'all because I'm telling y'all what I know, not what I heard. So y'all know when I tell you it's something I know, then I'm telling you what I know. Drew is not an easy interview. I know of at least 3 people. I'm not going to say their names. If they want to tell you, they'll tell you themselves. But I know of at least 3 people who were promised, not, oh, I want to interview Drew. Oh, I'm going to reach out to Drew and hopefully she'll email me back. No. I know of at least 3 YouTubers that were promised interviews with Drew, and she, for whatever reason, never went through with them. Now, everybody has a right to do what they're going to do. Like I told y'all yesterday when Nene was talking about people calling her wanting to take stuff out, I would much rather excuse me. I would much rather, what's up, JB? What's up, you? I would much rather somebody not do the interview than do an interview and then say, oh, well, I need you to edit this. I need you to edit that. I want you to take that out. Can you please take this out? I would much rather the non-interview than edit. Thank y'all. I appreciate it. Thank you, Trina Boo, for being a new member. Listen, Trina, are you from the DMV? Trina Boo, if you are from the DMV, you already know what I'm about to say. Here in DC, there's a whole go-go culture. And if you grew up in the time period that I grew up in, one thing about go-go that a lot of people may or may not know, there's a whole call and response to it when you go see a go-go band live. And there are people who are regulars, right? And you get your name called. If you ever listen to, they call them PA tapes from the go-go's. This is a DC thing. So a lot of what I'm saying, y'all might not understand. But when you're at a live go-go, the thing is to get your name called, get your neighborhood called, get your name called. And there was a woman by the name of Trina Boo. And Trina Boo was a staple in DC go-go history. You can actually Google Trina Boo. If you Google Trina Boo, go-go, they were interviewed. She's done a couple of interviews. She led a rough life. But baby, if you grew up in DC in the 80s and 90s, you know the name Trina Boo. Here go my girl Sweet Pea. She know what I'm talking about. Yes, the PA tapes. Yes. So that's why when I saw Trina Boo, that's the first thing I thought about. I thought about Trina Boo. Yes. Okay. Not on topic, but is that a new face or a new head Nene had? You know what, Cindy? I'm not doing this with you today. Move right along. Moving right along. Okay. With that being said, let's get into it. So overall, I think this was a good interview. A lot of times, one of the things that Carlos said was, at first he was being real polite about it. At first he was real polite. He was like, well, we tried to do this interview last year, but, because of scheduling, we couldn't make it happen. But then later on in the interview, she let it be known that basically she wasn't ready to do an interview with him last year when he wanted to. She said, I wouldn't have been able to sit and get through this interview without crying. So I feel like Drew didn't do the interview with Carlos, which makes me feel like, well, dang, if she ain't sit down with Carlos last year, then I don't feel so bad for some of my friends who I knew tried to get interviews. And she, like I said, it wasn't that they reached out. She actually promised to do these interviews and then didn't do them. But again, she may just not have been in a headspace. And again, I would much rather people not do the interview than to come back later and be like, take that out, take that out, take that out. Okay, never mind. Moving right along. So because I feel like Carlos did not have a familiar relationship with Drew, we didn't have to go through all of that. You know, you my girl. You know, you my girl. You know, I love you. You know, I've known you all these years. You know, we did this together. We did. I think because they didn't have that there. Carlos didn't get on my nerves as much because he really gets on my nerves when he's interviewing somebody that he has a relationship with, and we have to go through the whole I love, you know, I love you, girl, you know, I love you, you know, you my boo, you know, you did this. That irritates me. Well, you know, we was hanging out at the Four Seasons. Well, you know, I saw you at the yacht club. Like, I don't need to hear all of that. Because to be honest, the more familiar you let me know that you are with somebody, the less I'm believing what you're saying. Because I feel like, and I know that might not be fair, but I feel like the quad example is the worst example for me. I mean, the best example, I'm sorry. Because the longer I'm listening to you talk about how close of a friend you are to somebody, it makes me just feel like you're not going to hit them with the hard questions and you're not going to hold their feet to the fire. So that much I like. And all that schoolgirl laughing, he do, child. Oh yeah, Carlos is gonna give you a cackle, child. All right, so I took notes. Let me tell y'all how much I love y'all. Child, I was taking notes and driving at the same time. Now, I don't recommend it. So the first thing that they talked about, Carlos was complimenting how good she looked and how great her beat was, and Carlos threw a joke out there about her not paying people. And I'm sure he threw the joke out to kind of see where she would go with it. But she was like, well, wait a minute. Hold on. Who told you I don't pay my people? Well, let's talk about it. And from that point forward, I feel like, y'all know I'll be the first one to tell y'all I don't believe nothing that come out of Drew's mouth. But I'm going to be honest with y'all, from that point forward, I was like, okay. Sorry, y'all know I do not like that matte look. Oh, I need a gloss. So she said, so who told you I don't pay my people? And I said, come on. This one I knew Drina. Yeah, okay. So Trina Boo, you know, Trina Boo was a staple, and I lived in PA Palace. I know that's right. Yes, I love my DC people. Yes. So this is when I knew that Drew came to play. Drew said, well, who told you I don't pay my people? And Carlos was like, well, the girls be talking. You know, he was trying to be coy. And she said, was it Freedom? Carlos was like, yeah, like, okay, since you said it, I'm going to say it. Yeah, Freedom. She said, oh, Freedom that did my face today? Freedom on the beat? The person who, and she was like, the person who did my face today, she said, ask my people, who did my makeup? So she said, yeah. She said, and he begged to do it. I said, you better come on, Drew. You better come on, Drew, and be ready. You better come on, Drew, and be ready. So she said she pays her people. She said she's had the same chef for a long time. And, you know, she talked about how, you know, like that's important to her that, you know, her mother was her manager for a long time, and her mother instilled that in her, that she pay her invoices. And then she went off on this long thing about how she be paying her people. I felt like you had me at hello. Like, you could have stopped at the person who said I didn't pay them is the one that did my face. Because why would you work with somebody that don't pay you? So you had me at that. You had me at hello. I agree, Cahoots, that I feel like in a lot of situations, Drew does not give a direct answer immediately. But what I will say is, in this interview, I feel like Carlos, and this is why I say the difference between Carlos interviewing a friend and interviewing somebody that he's familiar with, but not necessarily friends with. he kept going till he got an answer to some of these questions. And I honestly feel like Drew gave some. Now, there was still a few things she skirt, but for the most part, I feel like she gave us some direct answers. And honestly, the answers that she gave were to the questions we've been wanting to hear. So let's get to it. Then they got on a question about Ralph, and Carlos asked her. They talked about, y'all met, y'all only knew each other for 3 months before y'all got married. Y'all got married at 5 months, then you had a baby at 8 months. He says, do you feel like it was all fake? Do you feel like he gaslit you? And Drew had a breakdown, right? So we had to pause for that. They had to get her some tissue, boom, boom, boom. But one thing she said was, and that's the question I've been asking myself now because of where we are now. That's the question I had to ask my star. Lord, ask my star. I had to ask myself, was this ever real? Was this always a game or, so listen, and Carlos said that he don't feel like that man loved her. He said, the way I saw him be gleeful when y'all came out of court and the way how happy he was that he got you, he was like, that man never loved you. And he was like, that man don't love you, and he never did. And I was like, I don't know about the never loved you part, because I think love is not a monolithic definition, right? So I'm not going to sit here and say Ralph never loved Drew. What I'm going to say is Ralph never loved Drew in the way she deserved to be loved. Because I think love looks different for different people. So I ain't going to say that. Because maybe he did the best he could, but that's not good enough. Y'all know what I'm saying? Okay. All right. So they addressed the meeting. They briefly brought up the whole thing about meeting with Porsha and Shamia. She said that she felt some kind of way about that. About Ralph meeting with her ops, like at the time, me and Porsha were not good, me and Shamia, whatever, because Porsha was Shamia's friend. And, the fact that he would sit at a table and not only allow them to talk about me, but for him to talk about me. And she said, and in some cases, talk about things that were private and that were intimate to our marriage. She said, it really made me feel some kind of way. And that just went back to did he really love you? You know what I'm saying? Now I'm gonna do the Ty thing last. Because I think that's the main thing. And I saw somebody say that they still don't think like she answered it directly. I think she absolutely answered it directly, honestly. But we'll get to it. So let me get to some of this other stuff, and then we're gonna get to the Ty of it all. So she said that Ralph actually, well, I'm gonna get to that. When I get to the Ty of it all, I'll get to everything that is around dealing with the Ty situation. Now let's get to the Porsha of it all. She said exactly what I told y'all. Now this is the one thing me and Drew have agreed on this season. They brought Porsha back to bring her lifestyle of what she had going on with Simon. Porsha was going to bring back this whirlwind queen married to her king, African, jet setting, $9 million home, driving the Rolls Royce. Like, that is the lifestyle. That is what Porsha was bringing to the show. And when that fell apart, Porsha had no storyline. So then her storyline became all the things around her that she could make a storyline. She said Porsha is absolutely lying. Porsha knew about her and Dennis. She said Porsha had even heard the music before we were filming. She said Dennis used to call Porsha from the studio. She said Porsha absolutely knew that I was working with Dennis. She said Porsha was invited to my birthday party. Why would Dennis be throwing me a birthday party if me and Dennis did not have some sort of a connection? She knew Porsha was supposed to come to my birthday party. She absolutely knew what was going on. She said, and that is why my face looked the way it looked in that first episode when Porsha brings it up. And I am totally shocked and dumbfounded because I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? What do you mean I went behind your back and I filmed with Dennis? Girl, she did. No, cahoots, that's not true. She did say it on the show. She said some of this on the show. And how do we know she didn't say all of it? Y'all got to remember, we look at an edited show and that producers are creating a story. So I don't believe she didn't say any of it because she said some of it. She did say that Porsha was invited to the birthday party. She did say that Porsha knew that they were working on music in the studio. She did say that that Dennis had told Porsha as well as Porsha. And Porsha even admitted that she had a conversation. It was in her confessional, but Porsha actually admitted it. But what Porsha said was she told Dennis not to do it. And Dennis went behind her back and did it anyway. And again, y'all got to remember that production, just like Porsha was scrambling for a storyline, production was scrambling for a storyline with Porsha. So I can believe that production edited the story in this way because it gave Porsha a story. If you take out Shamia and you take out Drew, what is Porsha's storyline this season? But Drew did say it on the show. Now, I think Drew's problem is Drew doesn't know how to draw a straight line. Drew doesn't know how to draw a straight line. I have a friend like that who it frustrates me so much when I hear this friend trying to tell a story or explain something. And I know what the real story is. And when they're telling a story, they do this. And by the time they get to the end of the story, I understood what they were talking about because I know the straight story. But by the time they got finished telling the story, I'd be sitting there like, huh? And that is what Drew does. Drew, and I think that's why sometimes it comes off. Sometimes I think Drew is lying. Let me be clear. There are times when I think Drew is lying, but I also think that's why sometimes it comes off like Drew is lying. You know what I'm saying? Now, with that being said, I do believe she also said that she did reach out to Porsha multiple times. She said, listen, when Porsha was happy and she was in that marriage, she said Porsha wasn't fooling with none of us. Porsha was never around. Porsha was never home. Porsha didn't return no phone calls. Porsha didn't call. Like she said, that is where Porsha was. She was off living her best life, flying from here to there, and she did not communicate with us. She said, what I have learned is that Porsha is not a good friend. She said, but the minute things fell apart and it was time to start filming, she said all of a sudden Porsha was like, girl, let's go to lunch. What are the new girls like? Have you met any of them? She was like, so that was the thing. She said, she said, I called Porsha multiple times. But Porsha was never available until that situation fell apart. She said they actually did film Dennis calling Porsha from the studio because Carlos asked her, he said, was that on tape? She said it was on tape. It absolutely was on tape. So that's what I mean when I say they edit these stories to fit. Y'all know that's what they do. Come on, y'all. We've been doing this too long. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying everything Drew said was the truth, but what I am saying is it's believable because we already know how they do. We already know what they do. Porsha needed a storyline, so I absolutely believe it was edited in Porsha's favor. I do. I believe it. But she did say that that's on tape. That production actually does have footage. Just like production had footage of Dennis in the studio with Drew. I can believe that there was a time when Dennis picked up the phone and called Porsha. I mean, I can believe it happened. You know, Drew said that she is not interested in Dennis at all. She said Dennis is just not her type. She is not interested in Dennis. That was never a thing. It was never going to be a thing. Never, ever, 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 never. Never ever. which I can believe that too. Because I told y'all, if y'all were around when I was talking about when Porsha was with Dennis, I told y'all back then Porsha didn't want to be with Dennis. Porsha saw that Dennis had a little bit of money. Porsha wanted a baby. She wanted to secure the bag for that baby. And I feel like that's where it was. I do not believe that Porsha was ever interested in Dennis like that. Do I think Porsha would have dated Dennis? I mean, she did date him. Do I think Porsha would have married Dennis? Yeah, I think she would have married Dennis. But I absolutely, right, biceps over belly, right, that's what she said. She said, I prefer biceps over bellies. I absolutely believe Porsha would have went along with the get along because I don't think Porsha ever really was in love with Simon. I mean, what about Simon? Especially the Simon that we met. Now, we know that Simon, after he got with Porsha, he lost a lot of weight, got his teeth done. Like, we know he did some things. But the Simon that Porsha met, come on now. Come on now. So anyway, I don't know because Porsha like him ugly. I disagree. I don't think Porsha likes him ugly. I think Porsha likes him rich. Because Porsha has dated some nice looking men. Well, by my definition of nice looking. But Porsha likes him rich. So, but no, that guy that Porsha was dating that lived up here in DC, he was nice looking. Porsha's dated some nice looking guys. But Porsha likes the bank account. I think that's what Porsha is interested in. Porsha doesn't have a type. Money is her type. Right, exactly. That's just like all those years, and this is my opinion, because I believe that. Do I think that sometimes people date outside of their comfort zone? Do I even think that sometimes people end up marrying what they didn't always date? Sure. However, I think you are who you are, you date who you date, right? Just like I feel like, and I said it then, and I'll continue to say it because we've seen what Tamar has dated after Vince. Tamar ain't never loved Vince like that. Tamar loved what Vince could do for her. Tamar loved the lifestyle that Vince provided for her. Because look at what Tamar has dated after Vince. Has most of the time, are there women who like big men? Yeah, it's just like there are men who like big women. But generally speaking, they stick with that. If Tamar had dated big men after Vince and before Vince, then I'd be like, well, that's just her type. That's her type. But out of all the men that we've ever seen Tamar date, he the only fat one. He the only fat one. Now, that doesn't mean that they didn't meet and fall in love. That ain't what I'm saying. I'm telling you what I think, though. I think it was about what he could do for her. Now, that's my opinion. Do I think that she grew to love him? Absolutely. I think she does love him as a friend. But that's my opinion. Anyway. Okay, so that was the Porsha of it all. Do I believe Drew? I do. I ain't gonna say I believe everything that comes out of Drew mouth, but when it comes to Porsha, I believe it because that's what I've been saying. I've been saying that from the first episode when Porsha first brought that up. I said, "Oh, Porsha is digging for a storyline." Just like when she talked about something, she was having a photo shoot using my hair, and I'm thinking to myself, "That's what you pay her to do." Like I know some people didn't agree with what I was saying, but the reality of the situation is when you become an ambassador. That is what they are paying you to do. They are literally paying you to post pictures with whatever that item is. You do not have to get approval every time you post an Instagram picture wearing Go Naked hair if you are an ambassador for Go Naked. Like, that's not how that works. And if that's what's in the contract, that's a stupid contract because then what are you paying her for? You are as an influencer, that is what you are paying her for. For Black Girl Vitamin, I do not have to. Every time I post something on my Instagram or on my TikTok or on my YouTube channel, I do not have to go through them and ask for their permission every time I post a picture with my link for Black Girl Vitamin. When I do a video of unboxing and all that, I do not have to ask their permission. I'm an affiliate link. And if somebody reports it, that's another conversation. You know what I'm saying? Then that's a different conversation. But I don't have to get permission from them every time I post content with Black Girl Vitamin in it. That is not how that works. Like, let's call a thing a thing. Drew was not a cover girl model for Go Naked Hair. Girl, she was an affiliate. Post the pictures on your Instagram and use this code and get a discount when you order Go Naked Hair. And you saw Drew wearing it. So there it is. Boom, boom, boom. So when she was like, and she was having a photo shoot and she didn't get my permission, girl, she doesn't need to get your permission to post pictures. And that's all it is. Right. Drew been posting pics. That's all it is. So what's the difference between Drew getting her hair done at her house with her glam squad and posting pictures versus Drew paying a professional photographer and her going out in the park and taking professional pictures? What's the difference? Especially if she's not billing you for the photo shoot. She didn't send you a bill for the photo shoot, did she? Did she say, I want you to pay for this because this was an official photo shoot for Go Naked Hair? No. She was literally just taking pictures in the hair and posting them on her Instagram. So again, it was bullshit. It was Porsha making up reasons to have a problem. Moving right along. Now let's get into the Shamia of it all. I'm going to be honest with y'all. Hold on. I'm going to be honest with y'all. When we got to the Shamia part of it, I started thinking, is this a scheme set up by Todd to come to us with the bullshit? Somebody said it last night on the Whether You Like It or Not panel that they think that maybe this was all just like a setup and a scheme between Porsha and Shamia. And I'm going to be honest with you. After listening to what Drew said, I'm starting to side-eye and think, was this some bullshit from the beginning? And I'm going to tell you why. Shamia, you have been doing this too long. Like T said last night, you have been doing this too long to get so caught up so fast in this bullshit with some people you don't even know. For you to sit there and go out to eat with Drew and Angela talking about something. We did do a pinky swear, and Angela and I would never have repeated it, but I would never have repeated it, but Angela said she ain't know her like that, so she had her fingers crossed behind her back. It just seemed way too easy to get that information out of Shamia. And the fact that we are still talking about this damn wedding, something that all of the fans of the Real Housewives of Atlanta have been talking about for 10 years, the fact that that's one of the things that's on your issue list with Porsha seems very convenient, right? The other thing that Drew said was, well, Shamia said that Porsha never called to congratulate her for getting her peach, and they never went out and celebrated her having her peach. And those were things that hurt her. I agree with you, Trina Boo. I think maybe it did go left, and what started off as not real is now very real. I agree with you on that. Hey, Lawrence Blair. Hey, y'all. Hey, everybody coming in. I can believe that. Like, a part of me feels like that's what happened. Like, it started off as, well, we're gonna give the fans what they want. The fans always say you my lapdog. The fans always say this, and this. We're gonna give them a little something. And I do think somewhere along the line it got real, because here's the reality. I do think that Shamia feels some kind of way, and I do feel like Porsha knows that she's not been a good friend to Shamia. So I think that's where I think, when they say when art imitates reality or what have you. So if it was supposed to be like fake beef for a storyline, I do believe it turned real, because the fact that they're still not in a good place. And I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna reserve my final opinion till I see what happens at the reunion. Because when they're in the room together, I'm gonna see what the energy is given. So when I see the reunion, then I'll be able to give y'all a final, okay, yeah, nah, this is some real shit, or nah. Because I feel like I need to see them in the room together and feel that energy. Art imitates life, yes. And I feel like this is what it is here. Porsha thought it would make her the queen bee, and it didn't happen. And I do think that's what it was too. I think that because even though when they're in the midst of filming, production talks, producers talk to the talent, because you know when y'all are on a reality show, you get a producer assigned to you. But all of the producers talk, and we know how the first 3 episodes were all about Shamia. The everybody was loving Shamia, her confession. Well, they filmed the confessionals later, but it was Shamia, the first 3 episodes. And maybe that got back to Porsha. Like, what? She's doing good. What? The production is loving her. What? You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe that's what kind of happened. But I believe it was just a little bit too easy. When Drew said they went out to lunch, and yeah, at first Shamia didn't really want to say anything, but then she did open up to us. And what up, Don? Hey, boo. I said, I don't know. It just was too easy for me. It just seemed a little too easy. You know what I'm saying? It seemed a little too easy. And I don't know. I'm not buying the friendship breakup either. The ending scene of last episode wasn't connected for me. Oh, hold on. And that's odd for a multiple decade relationship. It's just weird. Oh, I'm sorry. Quake reminded me. See, look. Quake said, Don here. What that mean, y'all? If Don is here, y'all, we gotta close the doors.
I said close them doors.
The doors.
Close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors.
Home after his long day of giving y'all the play-by-play of the Diddy trial. I poked my head in for a few minutes earlier today, child. He gave him play-by-play of the Diddy trial, but he over here with us. So yeah, I just feel like it just honestly, y'all, it did make me question it. However, Drew did confirm what Shamia said and what Angela said. So I believe that the conversation happened. And I believe the conversation happened the way they all said it happened, that Shamia just was venting, and she did ask them not to repeat it. But girl, that's where I feel like, Shamia, you're being a little too naive in that moment. Like, it's a reality show and everybody's trying to get their job and keep their job. Do I feel like the Porsha IG message about her mom was real? I feel it was. I do. Because I feel like there's a real story there that they don't want on camera. I feel like I don't know the real story. I've heard rumors of what the story is, but I don't know the real story. And I think that whatever that story is, Porsha don't want it told. So I do believe that. What's the breaking news, Quake? Uh-oh. She said breaking news. What's the breaking news? That's why I believe Angela when she said Shamia was playing the long game. I definitely feel like Shamia knew she always had the Porsha story in her back pocket. It seemed a little fast that she played the card, though. NFL will participate in flag football in the Olympics. Oh, okay. So NFL players are going to be able to be a part of the flag football. Okay, that'll be interesting. Okay. All right. That's interesting. All right. Thank you, Quake. Thank you for the breaking news. Okay. All right. Let me read through. Shamia Pinky swear needed to be real and address issues. Don't want people to think she was testing. Oh, so Shamia was really worried about the fans' reaction. They didn't that she didn't want the fans to sort of turn on her after she didn't want the fans to feel like she was trying to take Porsha down now that she got a peach. But that's kind of what's actually happening now. So whatever you were worried about is kind of what's happening. She was upset about the wedding. She said Porsha never congratulated her on getting her peach, never celebrated. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. Then we got into Porsha and her comments about Charles. And again, I feel like Drew was spot on when Drew said, listen, I found it very interesting that the same woman who was upset about me filming with the father of her child felt like it was okay to make comments about somebody's marriage, sleeping with somebody's husband. Now, she said she wouldn't have forgiven it as fast as Angela did. And she told Angela, girl, you forgave that way too fast because that was out of pocket. That was definitely out of pocket. What up, Abby? Hey, boo. That was out of pocket. Mm-hmm. And I agree, and I think we all agree. So there's that. But I do think, and we talked about that, the contradiction that Porsha didn't seem to have a problem making a comment about sleeping with Angela's husband, but it was crossing the line for Drew to film with Dennis. Like, girl, what? Okay. And Porsha absolutely dawned on. Porsha never should have went there, especially after we know about her and Simon's situation. Okay. Drew said she did not give Kenya the pictures. However, if you pay attention, see, I guess maybe I'm being a little too sensitive because I know more than what a lot of people know. So maybe I'm being a little too sensitive. But if you notice, Drew said she did not give Kenya the pictures. She said, I don't know anything about getting pictures off of the internet or whatever, or wherever Kenya got them. I don't know if y'all caught it, and maybe it wasn't a big deal. Maybe it's me reading too much into it. But she said, or wherever Kenya got them. So I don't know. Like I said, maybe it's just me reading too much into it. Okay. Maybe that's not a big deal. Okay. Child, not you wait for somebody to not. This is why I say Drew can't give a yes or no. But she gave a no answer. She said, I didn't give Kenya those pictures. Now that was she gave a very definitive, I did not give Kenya those pictures. She just was not definitive about where Kenya got the pictures. That's where I think she wasn't being definitive. Kimberly, I done told y'all what I know about the Kenya. Child, I done said it a million times. I'm sorry if you just got here, baby. I done told y'all that Kenya story since June. I've been telling y'all the same story since June about Kenya. I done told y'all where Kenya got them pictures from, but don't nobody want to believe me, so it is what it is. Notice y'all ain't seen or heard from Kenya. Kenya ain't been back, has she? Kenya ain't done no more videos, ain't told no more stories. Has she? Oh, okay. Anyway. Kimberly, if you're new here, baby, I'm going to just say this. Kenya didn't get them pictures off the internet. And I'm leave it at that. Okay. But Drew said she did not give Kenya those pictures. She just said it's okay, Kimberly, baby. It's okay. It's okay. She just said she said wherever Kenya got the pictures. And she just threw it out there. So maybe it was me reading too much into it. It wasn't a main thing. Like it wasn't something major that she said. So maybe it was me just throwing it out there. But she said, I thought someone sent them pictures to Kenya. That's what I heard. Drew said it wasn't her though. Now I heard them pictures got sent to Kenya. Look at Ravine. Ravine said, but I'm a twirl for my girl. I know that's right. Woo. Julian said, I didn't give Kenya those pictures, leaves a lot of room for what questions? Did she give them to someone else to give to Kenya? Did she leave them in Kenya's doorway? I need more. See, now this, and Julian, this is not at you, baby. But this is the part where like I tell y'all, sometimes it doesn't matter. Once you've made up your mind, it doesn't matter what anybody says. If Abby says to me, did you give Ravine my keys? And I say, no, I didn't give Ravine your keys. I don't know how she got them, but I didn't give them to her. I don't know what more y'all want from me in the keys. I don't know what else y'all want. So at a certain point, if y'all decide that y'all just don't believe what Drew is saying, then that's fine. Drew is saying, but it just seems to me like if the woman said I didn't give her those pictures, now what more do y'all want her to say? Y'all want her like she's on the stand with her hand on the Bible testifying under penalty of perjury. I don't know what else y'all want that woman to say. She said she didn't give them to Kenya. Now, she could be lying, and you don't have to believe what she's saying, but what more, how else was she supposed to answer that question? Other than, no, I didn't give those pictures to Kenya. And Kenya said she didn't get them from Drew. Now, y'all can say, I don't believe it. That's fine. I respect that. I'll respect it if you say, I know that's what Drew said, but I don't believe it. No problem. You don't have to believe her. But I don't know what more y'all want her to say. Drew said wherever she got them from. She said wherever she got them from, or something along those lines. But she just said, she said I didn't give them to her. People probably think she knows who did give them, and they want her to spill it. Right, but that's them thinking that. I don't know. I'm just approaching it like a lawyer would, because words can be tricky and people can obfuscate by carefully using certain words. I understand that, but that's my point. Y'all are treating this as if she's on the witness stand and she was just doing an interview. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I hear what you're saying, though, Julian. If you want more, baby, you want more. You know, if you want more, you want more. And if you just don't believe her, that's fine. It's okay to be like, I just don't believe her. I don't find her to be believable. That's fair. Because I told y'all I don't believe half of what be coming out of Drew's mouth too. So that's fair. You know, that's fair. But I just feel like when you ask somebody a question and they give you the answer and the answer is no, I don't know what else y'all want from people. She on the stand of witness reality TV. I know that's right, Julia. Julia said, yes, she is on the stand. She is on the stand of reality TV witness stand. I know that's right. Okay. She said she does want Kenya back on the show. She said that she does not see it for Britt. She said Britt does not live in her truth. And she brought up Britt's husband a couple of times. So I feel like she feels like there's more to the story about Britt and her husband. She said that they are not truthful and they are not living in their truth. She said there's been a lot of stuff out there about Britt and her husband. And so now remember, when people say that, and it's coming from a place where you have filmed with this woman and you have been up front and close, up front and personal with this woman, it makes me feel like maybe she does know a little bit more. Now, we know the rumors that have been floating around about Britt's husband. We know about the former friend that went down to the Tasha K and told it. You know what I'm saying? We got it, right? So I feel like Drew was insinuating something that, you know. Now, let me say this. And Ravine and Team Twirl, don't come for me. I want y'all to hear the totality of my statement before y'all get ready to come for me. Okay, I want you to hear the whole thing I'm about to say before y'all come for me. Let me say this. I really wish Kenya had not done what Kenya did, because I honestly feel like Britt would have been a one and done. I do not feel like Britt would have gotten a peach, because it seems like nobody sees it for her. It seems like the women don't like her. Even the one friend she had, which was Kelly, ain't her friend no more. The only person that seemed like that's still cool with her is Porsha. And child, we already know that's coming from a place of desperate. Porsha is desperate for a storyline and desperate for a friend. I understand that Kenya felt like production didn't do anything about the threat and didn't have her back. So I'm not going back down that road of why Kenya did what she did, child. I am not relitigating that. However, I honestly feel like Britt would have been one and done. I do not feel like she would have got a season 2 contract. Now, I think there's a strong possibility that she might come back next season, no matter how bad this season ends for her, because from my understanding, and y'all don't have to believe what I'm telling y'all, and that's okay. From my understanding, Britt did get an attorney, and there was a settlement. And I don't think the settlement was necessarily monetary. I think there might have been an agreement made about her extending her contract for another year or things of that nature. So don't be surprised if y'all see Britt Edie next year. That doesn't mean there's 100% that she's coming back. I'm just telling y'all, don't be surprised if y'all see her next year. I'm not saying she will. I'm just saying there's a larger possibility of her coming back next year now than it was before. I think had Kenya just continued to do, throw some shade and do some things here and there to her, I definitely do not think Britt would have come back. Now, I see how bad, and I also want to say this too. Y'all notice how we really don't even really, I mean, I know Britt wasn't even in this episode. She said she had a wedding to go to. That doesn't mean she didn't have any scenes they could have thrown in there. Y'all know how this goes. They film a million scenes, and half of the scenes they film make it into an episode. Just because she went to a wedding does not mean she didn't need to be in the episode. There could have been a scene with her and her mama. There could have been a scene with her and her cousin. I'm sure she filmed a scene with one of them girls going out to lunch, dinner, tea, coffee, shopping, that they could have thrown in there if they really wanted her to be in there. Remember, if you ain't in the episode, you don't get paid. Now, I know she was in that one little snippet where she was picking out what she was going to wear to that wedding, but I don't know if that was enough for her to get paid for the episode. I don't know if that was enough for her to get paid for that episode. And so I feel like production might be sort of scaling her back. Now, we know that she has a big storyline coming up because her and Kelly's friendship falls apart. But let's be clear, that was the only friend she had on the show. Nobody, I mean, again, we know that her and Porsha are cool now. We've seen them together post-production and stuff like that. But who has Britt really been rocking with the majority of this season? Kelly. And now that her and Kelly aren't friends anymore, it'll be interesting. Again, I'm not saying that beyond a shadow of a doubt Britt is coming back. I'm just saying I definitely do not believe Britt would have come back, but for, whatever. Okay. Drew said that the comment she made about the weapon should definitely have been addressed by production, and there should have been some punishment. So it just sounds like everybody is still is very much Team Kenya. She says she wants Kenya back. She said she even tried to sneak Kenya into some scenes, honey. She said she would invite Kenya to come and film with her. And of course they wouldn't allow it, but she said she tried to get Kenya on the show. And she says she does speak to Kenya regularly. I'm gonna go back to the Ty thing in a minute. I thought it was funny. I thought it was interesting when she said that when Carlos asked her what her Mount Rushmore of housewives would be, and of course she said Nene. She said Kenya, Nene, and she said that her and Candy are in a better place. She said her and Candy have resolved whatever their issues were, and she said she actually just got done working with Candy and Todd. So that made me think, is there a sequel for The Past on the way? Are they working on a sequel? Are they working on a sequel, or are they working on a new project together? Because whenever you hear Candy and Todd, I feel like they must be working on something. So maybe Drew was getting ready to do a new movie or a new project with Candy and Todd, and good for her. She talked about, they asked her about, Carlos asked her about her, her repertoire. She talked about the men she dated. Of course, she sticks to her story that she dated LeBron James. She talks about she dated somebody else, but she also said she dated Michael B. Jordan. But she ain't date this Michael B. Jordan. She dated the old. For those of us who remember when Michael B. Jordan was on All My Children with the mop of braids. I remember when he had those braids like the looked like a big old mop right on his head. Y'all remember when Michael B. Jordan was on All My Children and he had that big old mop of braids? She said that's when because she said she dated him when he was on the soap opera. That was All My Children. Now, some of y'all soap opera heads that look at, is JB still here? That look at other soap operas. Was he ever on a different soap opera? Michael B. Jordan was always cute. Stop playing. He was always cute, but he wasn't the Michael B. Jordan, the shoosh Michael B. Jordan. He wasn't the shoosh. He wasn't the, the Creed Michael B. Jordan. Right. She dated All My Children Michael B. Jordan, which is different. Now, I'm not saying he not cute. I'm not saying he wasn't cute back there. I'm just saying, y'all Google it. Let me Google it. See, because y'all playing with me. Hold on. Let me see this. Hold on. Because y'all playing. Y'all playing with me. Okay. Michael B. Jordan. All my children. Let me see. Images. This The Wire. Hold on. Oh, no, this is from All My Children. But this ain't... When he first went on All My Children, his braids was different. But that's from All My Children. Those were the Tyler Perry. Remember when Shamar Moore was on Tyler Perry? But those aren't the braids I'm looking for. Y'all remember how his braids used to look? That was after he had been on the show for a minute. Hold on, this a little bit closer. Hold on, let me see if I can make this bigger. This a little bit closer. Damn it, my phone really be on my nerves sometimes. This a little bit closer. I'm gonna let y'all see it. It's a little bit closer. That's a little bit closer to what I'm talking about. See all them, that just big old whoosh? But when he first came on the show, they had bangs. See how they're going towards the back right there? But when he first came on the show, they was in his face. They was like bangs. Now again, is he a cutie? Yeah, he's still a cutie. I ain't about to sit here and say that baby ain't cute. But he had a lot of hair. He was a teenager. When he was on All My Children, he was a teenager. That was before he did The Wire. He did All My Children before he did The Wire. So anyway, moving right along. Now let's get to this. Let's get to the Drew of it all. Let's get to the Drew of it all. I mean the tie. I said the Drew, the tie of it all. I want y'all to hear for yourself. Right, he was on All My Children first, and then he did The Wire. Because after he did The Wire is when he started doing movies. I want to say... Or did he do The Wire first and then All My Children? Okay, he did do All My Children first. Okay, yeah, he did All My Children first, and then he did The Wire. Right. Yeah. All right, that was right. Okay. I want y'all to hear this, and then I'm going to tell y'all my opinion. Because somebody said earlier that Drew still wasn't being upfront, but I think she was.
Trying to out somebody or dig deep in terms of same-sex relationships, friendships, whatever. So I really want you to tell me respectfully when to stop. Okay, because I know you want to clear the air. Yeah. And I'm only going to ask you things, and I want you to answer them if you want to. When it comes to you and Ty, the way Rap made it seem like it was more than a friendship, that you guys could have been lovers intimately. What do you have to say to that? Were you and Ty ever intimate, kiss?
Flirting, yes.
Okay.
A lot of flirting.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that there wasn't flirting. There was a lot of conversation. There was a lot of group hangouts. And for me, there were just certain things that I wasn't comfortable with, and not judging anybody for their sexual orientation. I just love my husband, and so there were certain levels. Now I can't help if, Ty felt differently or how she felt. I can't speak for her, but for me, I appreciated the friendship. I appreciated the conversation. I appreciated the fun. I appreciated, the distraction from what I was going through. And so much so, she was around. We hung out publicly. So I wasn't worried about people seeing us but I didn't know it was going to get to this extent to where he would say the reason why he wanted to divorce was because of Ty, because that wasn't actually true.
I'm going to be honest with you. When he said that was the reason, I'm going to be honest with you. When Ralph said the reason why we're divorcing is because of Ty, I felt that Ralph wanted to find a reason to bring up Ty. And it goes back to what I saw a few episodes ago. I just felt like...
Now, let me say this. In my opinion, and y'all don't have to agree with me. Y'all ain't got to like what I'm about to say. I still love you, though. In my opinion, Drew had an emotional affair with Ty Young. Now, do I think that Drew and Ralph's marriage was already in trouble? Absolutely. Do I think that Ty is the reason why they're getting a divorce? Hell no. Do I think that it crossed the line into an intimate level? I do not. But I do believe that she was in a bad place in her marriage and Ty made her feel good. She said they flirted. She said they talked all the time. She said it felt good to talk to somebody who liked her. See, that's an emotional affair. And if she was doing that with a man, I don't think anybody would be debating that it was an emotional affair. Do I think it was intimate? No. And I understand what people say she doesn't answer a straight question because she didn't come right out and say, no, it wasn't intimate. But what she said was she wasn't comfortable. She said nothing against anybody's sexual orientation, but she wasn't comfortable with taking things past a certain point. So she was comfortable with the flirting. She was comfortable with the conversations. She was comfortable with it making her feel good. She was comfortable with it making her forget about how bad her marriage was. But when it was time to cross that line, she said she didn't. Now, she didn't come right out and give a straight yes or no answer. I agree. She could make life a lot easier if she would just say, no, it wasn't intimate. But she said her and Ty are still friends. So I feel like if Ty were a man, if it was Tyrone, I don't think anybody would be debating whether she was in an emotional affair with this woman, right? But I think because we all hate, when I say we all, some of y'all might not, but I think because most people think Ralph is an ass, and most people think that the way Ralph has done things, we don't like. I think it's easy for us to look past that. Again, do I think that's the reason why her and Ralph are getting a divorce? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. She said Ralph had cheated on her multiple times, and she said she found it interesting that he wouldn't admit that he cheated on her. Found it interesting that he wouldn't admit that he cheated on her, right? But she said that Ralph even asked her for an open marriage. And she said that Ralph asked for an open marriage before they even moved to Atlanta. She said when they were still living in Chicago, he asked for an open marriage. And I know people are going to say, well, then, you know what? Can I tell y'all the 3 words that I'm hating right now in the human vocabulary? The sentence that I am hating more than anything else right now is, why did she stay? I think that's 4 words. Why did she stay? Why didn't she leave? I am sick of that. Can I tell y'all? So I don't want people to be like, well, if he asked for an open marriage before they even moved to Atlanta, why did she stay with him? For the same reason that a lot of people stay in relationships and marriages that don't serve them. And like I said yesterday, I know some of y'all are perfect. And I know some of y'all ain't never stayed in a bad situation. Some of y'all never stayed in a bad marriage. Some of y'all never stayed in a bad relationship. Some of y'all never did strange things for change. I understand that. Some of y'all have lived the perfect life. But for those of us who have not, I think most of us can agree that we have stayed in bad situations for the wrong reasons, longer than we should have. Now, I know that ain't everybody's testimony, and that's fine. I understand that ain't everybody's testimony, and that is fine. But I also think that some of us, if we're being honest, a lot of us have stayed in situations that did not honor us in the way that we should have been. Is El Teddy still in here? He said he was getting ready to go set. I need him to set his live up. Dang nabbit. Abby, can you ask your brother if he set his live up yet, please? Ravine said, I'm still not perfect. Not Tracy said, let me fix my halo. Child, please. People stay in toxic workplaces all the time. For example, it's believable. Yeah, I mean, listen, some of us, and that's what I'm saying, Chuck. I'm not saying that we all stay for 20 years, 10 years, 10 years. I'm not saying that either. But I'm so frustrated when I'm hearing these people in light of the Diddy trial and all of these different things. I'm so frustrated with people that act like that they never made a mistake. They never stayed in a bad situation. They never stayed in a toxic environment, whether it's a workplace, whether it's a boyfriend, whether it's a family member. Whether it's a family member, because a lot of us will be quick to leave a man or a woman, but we'll stay cool with that family member that's toxic as fuck. All right, I'm looking for El Teddy. I don't know why El Teddy's videos never show up. Okay, there it is. All right. I stayed in my first marriage longer than I should have. I'll admit that. El Teddy, do your job. I went back. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I went back after I was cheated on a few times. No lie. That toxic large peak. Not that toxic large peen. I'm not doing this with y'all. Yeah, and that's all I'm saying, y'all. I'm not saying everything doesn't have to be as extreme as what we've been talking about with Cassie. Everything doesn't have to be as extreme as a man cheating on you 50,000 times. But again, a lot of us have made a decision to stay in a situation that we should have walked away from. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And so when people say, well, if he wanted an open marriage, why would you move with him to Atlanta? Well, a lot of people stay. But here's the thing we know for certain, at least I think I know for certain. I don't know for certain because I really ain't in these people's life like that. But here's one thing I do know. I believe that we knew that Ralph was cheating on Drew from season 1 when his ass disappeared down to Tampa. We still want to know where your ass was. Sir, we still want to know where your ass was. Okay? Listen, Abby, you better say it again for the people in the back, honey. Baby, we know that them eggplants be getting us all crazy. How many people in here that went crazy over the big eggplant? You can put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if the big eggplant ever made you do some strange things. I'm gonna put the 1 in. I'm gonna put the 1 in. How many people in here that ever did some strange things for the big eggplant? Okay, there you go, Tracy. Okay. Chuck said I went back. Chuck said I left, but I went back. Now see Golden and put 20 in the chat. Right. So I'm being honest with you. I'm so sick of these people. Damn, Don. Okay. Yeah, so that's all I'm saying, y'all. That's all I'm saying. You know, it just frustrates me that even if it's not you, for the people that can't understand that it was somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Just me said, look, I had a little eggplant that made me do some strange things. Listen, sometimes the little ones too. Okay. Not strange things have been done to him. Okay, Kim, we got you, boo. Child, we know, Tracy. You told us about that cue that had you acting a fool. But listen, that's what them cues do. I could probably do another poll and ask y'all how many people the cues and had you act doing some strange things. Because I could put a one in the chat for that one too. I could put a one in the chat for that one too, honey. Child. Listen, all penises matter. Ravine said one. She said Q one. Exactly. Abby, go on, put your one in the chat too for your Q. Thank you, grown woman. Don't try me for becoming a member. Look, y'all, we about to head on over to El Teddy's house. Nico say one for the Qs. Okay. Kim said Q and Kappa. Ooh, them Kappas got you acting stupid too. Ooh, Miss Toby said it was a Kappa for her. Hey, Miss Toby, I ain't seen you in a while, boo. Mo said yes, one. Listen, I got a Q on the roster right now. I might throw him back. Or I might throw him through the window for, you know what? Nope. That was the big, oh. JB. JB, I need to talk to you anyway. I need to talk to you anyway. So look, y'all, we about to head on over to El Teddy's house. I already set up the redirect. So Ravine and all the pupils, y'all don't go nowhere. If you have not subscribed to El Teddy or he's new to you, y'all hang on and y'all head on over there. Okay. Y'all head on over there. Okay. I'm trying to decide. I'm gonna tell El Teddy to take his time. Because I'm in no rush to come back, but I probably will come back maybe around 7 o'clock. I'm trying to decide if I want to talk about Lonnie Love, if I want to revisit Lonnie Love's interview with the Breakfast Club, where she broke down everything that happened with Tamar. I'm trying to decide if I want to talk about this RG3 versus Ryan Clark situation. I don't really think it's a lot going on in the news for me to really do a tribe meeting per se. The Diddy trial, a lot was said today. Oh, you know what? Maybe we'll do the living single. Okay, no Tamar. Quake said no Tamar. Quake said I don't want to do it. Okay. All right. Maybe we'll do the living single. Maybe we'll come back over on this channel and just do another review. Maybe we'll do the Living Single podcast conversation. I owe y'all a Love After Lockup. I owe y'all a Beyond the Gates. We never talked about Beyond the Gates last week. So maybe we'll just come back on this side. A lot was said today. See, that's the thing, Don. I was dipping my head and dipping my head in and dipping my head out. So I honestly, I was dipping my head in and out, so I don't know a lot of what was going on. I heard a little bit of the assistant's testimony, and then I know Cassie Mama testified. And then who came on after the mama? Somebody else. Oh, the escort, the Punisher. He testified. Baby. Baby, the Punisher never ever meets the Punisher. That testimony had a lot going on. Let me say this, JB, about the RG3 thing, and then I'm gonna get off of here and let El Teddy, get over to El Teddy's house. Let me say the Homeland Security agent. Oh, I might need to go look. Okay, I'm gonna go back and listen to the like your last hour, Don, because I came out. I was going between you, Pam, and Simone. Honestly, I was flipping between the three of y'all all day. So the last testimony I heard was the Punisher, and baby Pam reading the Punisher, and she was trying to do it in this heavy male voice. When that man said that he wrote a book, and his book was called what was it called? Is the meat in the locker? Is the ground beef in the locker or something? Yeah, I was done. I said, you know what? That's when I started listening to Carlos and Drew. I said, I'm done with this for today. I'm done with this for today. Freezer meat. The freezer meat in the locker. Talking about some it's hard to find. I was done. I said, I'm done. That is when I went and started listening to Carlos and Drew. I said, I'm done with Diddy for today. No. Freezer meat. Whatever. Yes. I said, I'm done. And Pam. Y'all just gotta go see Pam's face when the man asked him the name of the book. And when he said the name of the book, Pam's face, y'all. Can I tell y'all this is so nasty? I'm so mad. I had a tasteful milkshake. I should have went to Wendy's and got a Frosty like I started to. Because this is not what I wanted. I wanted a Frosty. But I didn't know I wanted a Frosty until I got the milkshake. It is not what I wanted. You know how sometimes you think a Frosty and a milkshake, it's just the same thing. Today is one of those days I realize it's not. Because I went to McDonald's and I decided I wanted a milkshake today. And I got a large, so you see how much is left. Because it's nasty. Mad. Moving right along. Right. Pam does the voices and Simone goes down the rabbit hole. Child. Anyway, let me get over here. We heading over to El Teddy's house. So yeah, okay, the RG3 thing with JB. He's still in here. Let me tell y'all something. I'm from DC. I was here when RG3 was here. I remember when he came in, rookie, da-da-da-da-da. Baby, I always knew this about RG3. I always knew this. When that man left he married his college sweetheart. When he left that woman while she was pregnant to marry this white woman he with now, I knew then. I said, oh, you a dirty dog. You're a dirty dog. Because I just believe that all things need to be done in decency and in order. And I'm not saying that you have to stay married or stay in a relationship that doesn't benefit you. However, I feel like while your wife is literally still pregnant with your child, I just feel like there's a better way of handling it. No, the woman wasn't black. His ex-wife is Latino, I believe, though. Isn't she Latino, Quake? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't his ex-wife Latino? I know she's not black, but I don't think she's white either. I think she's brown. But even if she was white, I just still feel like that's just a testament to his character that he left this woman while she was literally 8-9 months pregnant with his child to go and he left her to go be with this white woman, and he was running around town with this white woman while this woman was literally having his baby. You know what I'm saying? To me, that just said a lot about his character. She's mixed, Mexican and white. Yeah, I thought I knew she wasn't, a snowflake. So that already just told me about his character. And then KFS says she is white. Okay, well, maybe she is white then. Okay. But that just told me about his character. That just told me about his character, about who he was as a person. And honestly, I've just never been a fan because I feel like, child, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. I could do a whole nother story. But I just feel like a lot of stuff that people didn't realize if they didn't live in this area and know the kind of things that were going on, the organization got a lot of heat for stuff that he was doing. You know what I'm saying? Like the Redskins, the Commanders, at the time they were the Redskins, they were blamed for ending his career early when actually he did a lot of that damage to himself. But that's neither here nor there. This whole conversation between him with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Listen, yeah. What did he do recently? Well, the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese thing, and he basically has made Angel Reese the villain in the story, child. And then Ryan Clark did commentary on him and said, basically, because you like white women. I mean, I'm oversimplifying it because I don't want to get into a whole story. Y'all, let's head over to El Teddy's. I'll see if I feel like coming down here and talking about it. I probably will come back later on. I just don't know what I'm going to come down here and talk about. But I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.